Moving on then, to the biggest name the Pistons acquired this offseason. Tobias Harris is back in Piston red, white, and blue. He spent 3 years as a Piston from 2015 to 2018, where he averaged about 16 points a game, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. Tobias got paid a lot of money, 2 years, 52 million. And again, I think some people were kind of very questionable about that deal. For me, I loved it because the length of it. It's 2 years. I'm not that happy about paying Tobias Harris that much money, but for 2 years, no issue at all. That's a guy you can even move on, probably most likely after 1 year if you need to. And he was pretty solid in Philadelphia last season. I know he catches a lot of strays, especially for his playoff performance in that game seven where he put up 0 points. But just speaking about his statistics over that season, he averaged 17 points, 6.5 boards, 3 assists a game on 49% shooting, 35% from deep, 88 from the free throw line. This guy played 157 games for the Pistons, and he always was proud to be here, which was most important. He was on that playoff team in 2016 that gave the Cavaliers a good run for their money. And what I think that what Tobias Harris is going to bring to this team is he might not necessarily raise the ceiling very much, but what I think he will do undoubtedly is raise the floor. I think he's going to make us a more competent basketball team. We always touch how these other guys are going to impact Cade Cunningham. Having an NBA player, a proven NBA player, a veteran like Tobias Harris is going to improve Cade's game. My concern for him is that 3 point shot. He did not shoot it at a high volume, although he did shoot it at a decent percentage. And that's why I said I think Isaiah Stewart might be a better 3 point shooter than him. But Tobias Harris also just he brings us some size in that wing position, and I know I call him a wing, but there's a reason we're doing him with the bigs here. Yes, for numbers' sake, but Tobias Harris is also a big wing who can play the three or he can play the four. He'll provide some needed basketball IQ, especially on the defensive end, having been in the league for over a dozen years now. Tobias Harris. I'm really excited about this. Like I said, I think he's going to raise that floor quite a bit, and it just about automatically confirms that he's going to make us not the worst team in the NBA. I think just having like that competency is really underrated. We're not going to be slotting in like Tosan Abuman to play minutes, and I think that's really understated here. I can't reiterate enough that the floor has been significantly raised with the acquisition of Tobias Harris. Regardless of what you paid him, he's making your team better in so many ways, and it's just so necessary. I anticipate or I hope that he's going to get up more threes and space that floor. There were often times he was a bit timid to shoot, but I understand that to an extent playing next to Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, two All-Stars, and one of those obviously a MVP and superstar. Um, I anticipate a lot of open looks he's going to get, especially if we go with more spacing around him. A lot of kickouts from Cade Cunningham after we see that pick and roll with him and Duran. Um, Statistically, he averaged about, yeah, like I said, 17 a game last year. I'm feeling about a pretty similar number. I think he'll get low teens, and I just think that's so valuable to this organization. Gabe, I'm gonna shift it over to you for some Tobias Harris talk.
Yeah, it's just good to have more wings, like you said. No more Kevin Knox. Instead we get a proven guy like Tobias Harris. The contract is terrible. 2 years at that price is terrible, but for that short time, it's okay because we just need, like you said, some competent players on this team. My only concern with him is he kind of stops Asar from being able to get more minutes. It's just kind of hard now to find minutes for Asar, even though he can't shoot, which again, over that time frame, I think is completely fine. Just to get some decent NBA players on the roster. Other than that, like we used to have him, like he's very steady, he's very consistent, never does anything that jumps off the page. He's just a good NBA player, and that'll be good to have. He's an average guy. He's made a lot of money in his career. I think he likes Detroit. Obviously, he's been here twice for a lot of money, but I'm glad he's on the team. I would not be surprised if I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard with the money, but next year if he's moved on that expiring deal, but he for sure will not be back after these 2 years. I can tell you that, and he will start the four. I think that's a given.
I do think he's one of those guys you can pencil in the starting five, and that's only a handful of people. Connie, anything else to add for Tobias Harris?
He comes in probably maybe with improvement, but last year he would have been the second best player on our team. Like you said, he's just consistency. He's just going to be someone that is good at basketball and doesn't suck, and it's going to be out there. It comes around to sort of a principle that is talked about a little bit. Something that I thought we were going to be last year, but we weren't because we did have players that sucked. But it's just the idea of playing guys that don't suck. Like you don't need insanely great players. You just need to play dudes that don't suck. You don't need like, and we just happen to be playing a lot of guys last year that did suck. A lot of guys that aren't NBA players, and this is just another guy that doesn't suck and should improve the Pistons pretty dramatically over what they were last year. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. To go around quickly, Gabe said yes starting. I said yes starting. Connie starter, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, just to read one more time where his stats were last season: 17.2, 6.5, 3.1. Are you seeing a potential for any increase in his stats, or do you think where he is with his career right now that it's going to be a decline?
I think we're gonna see about that. Maybe a couple more threes than he shot there, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking 3-point percentage. Or I think you can take either percentage or attempts per game in this situation. Gabe, largest increase, if any, in his statistics this season.
Um, I think I want to go 3-point percentage. He didn't shoot very well last year. 35%.
Yeah.
Yeah.